Luminar Neo has some amazing features and tools, but today I want to dive into it and see if I can edit a raw image from scratch and get amazing results. My biggest test will be to see if I can get equal or better results than I do using Lightroom, which is my preferred tool. And I typically only use Luminar Neo for like touch-ups or just further enhancing my images once I edit them in Lightroom. So this will be an interesting test. If you watched my previous Luminar Neo video, I'll put it up here somewhere. I basically touched on things, but it was really quick and I didn't really deep dive. So I had a couple comments from people asking me to do a full-length edit and really dive deep into Luminar Neo and all the tools and see if we can get some amazing results. So that's what we're going to do, and I'll quit my yapping and we'll open up a photo here and dive in. Okay, so I've got this image that I took at a music festival, which was Magnetic World here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Crazy good time, and I got to be in the pit for this artist, which was Roy Woods. If you've never heard of him or heard his music, highly recommend checking it out if you're into like R&B, hip-hop. Very versatile artist, very good. Anyway, yeah, I figured this was a good image to start with because there's quite a variety of things that we can really play with here. So let's just start. And I always like to start with enhance as a little baseline. And this just kind of brings out some of the details. Obviously, sky enhancer, we're not going to touch. It's not relevant to this photo, but everything else is looking pretty good. So it looks pretty sharp. I don't think I need to do any kind of sharpening. Like you can see all the details on his skin and the sweat and everything. So I'm pretty happy with that. I don't remember what ISO it was shot at. I can figure that out, but I'm not worried about it at the moment. I don't think we need to do any noiseless, anything like that. So we're going to dive right into the Develop tab, and this is where we're going to play around a bit. So exposure-wise, it's not terrible. I will bump up that smart contrast to about 15. Looks pretty good. Shadows I'm gonna leave alone. Blacks and whites, let's see, raise those whites to kind of get more details there. Blacks I'm gonna lower ever so slightly to get more of a contrasty look. Curves is where we're gonna get a lot of our magic, and if you've used any curves in either Lightroom or any other program, this is kind of where you get this is the best way to get your contrast out of your photo. So, or into your photo, I guess I would say. And just do a little S curve, and it makes a world of difference. And I haven't decided what kind of direction we're gonna take with this edit yet. So I'm just doing the minor stuff first, and then we can kind of fine tune it as we go. Color wise, I think we're pretty good. Like at the auto white balance, did a really good job for this one. Skin tones look good. I'm gonna leave that alone. I like to bump up vibrancy and then maybe just bring down saturation a touch. That's just how I like to get the best colors out of my images. So, we got the yellow on the jacket and stuff, and obviously the red lights and everything in the background. Sharpness, I'm not gonna do any or add any sharpening. Noise reduction, again, I think we're good. And I wouldn't use this portion or of the panel anyways. I would use the actual AI noise reduction tool. Does a really good job. Optics, really don't think we need to mess around with that. And cropping wise, I don't love the stuff at the bottom of this image. So I probably just want to make sure we are straight here. Yeah. Other than that, think we're good to move on. Structure, I'm going to come back to this. So I'll start by just lowering the structure just because I like to soften my images a bit more and get rid of like that clinical digital sharpness. So -20, 25, and then we'll come back with some masking and really start to fix things in that regard. Again, color, we're good. We're not doing black and white. Details, this is where you can kind of get some interesting things going on. So rather than actually adding sharpening to the whole image or the structure, you can kind of add and bring out the smaller details. Like for instance, this should enhance the sweat pores. You can see it a little bit. If I zoom in more, obviously that's not going to look great, but yeah, so it's bringing that out quite a bit, which is perfect. That's all I want that to do. Again, denoise is not worried about a vignette. I do like to add a bit of vignette, but I'm going to do this in a different masking method. So we'll skip that for now. Again, landscape stuff. This is not a landscape photo. I'm not a landscape photographer. Not going to worry about it. We'll keep going. Light depth is where things get interesting. I absolutely love this tool. If there's anything that I ever use Luminar Neo for, it's literally just this tool alone. I think it's worth the money. You can get similar, I want to say you can get similar results using different masks in Lightroom, but it would take a lot more effort. This just kind of the way it maps everything out for you, and yeah, so we're gonna bring this down, and then the detail is on our subject. I've got it set to about 20, and I'm going to add a bit of softness so it just kind of gives it more of a spread. And then I can add a bit of warmth, nothing crazy, just to kind of help our subject pop from the background. Before, after, like, yeah, it looks natural. If you push it too far, you're going to get a very unnatural look. That's not what we're after. So I'm very happy with this. And it saves me, like I would have had to do a subject mask in Lightroom and raise the shadows and exposure a little bit and contrast and warmth to get the same effect. But it also wouldn't look exactly the same, if that makes sense. Because the way that this uses like a depth measuring tool for this is just, it's very cool. I'm very, impressed with the results that you get from using this. And like I said, well worth the money for that alone. Color transfer, we aren't using a reference image. So basically, if you wanted to copy the look of another image, you could use the color transfer, and it would essentially, you provide a reference image that you like the colors and edits of, and it would do its best to copy that. I have not played around with this, so I honestly can't comment on it. That is maybe something we'll do in another video just to see, because that would be pretty crazy if you could literally copy your favorite photographer's edits without having to buy their presets or whatever. So we'll see. I'll dive into that at another time. Magic light. I think this is for like getting, the star pattern and stuff, which is actually kind of cool. I don't hate it. Like I've used a starburst filter when shooting concerts to get this effect, so it's actually not that bad. I might use a little bit of it, to be honest with you, because it doesn't look terrible. Show beam width. Like that's pretty cool. And it's not affecting our subject either, so I like that. I'm good with that. The drama tool, this can be pretty heavy-handed, and it often lowers the contrast while giving you a bit of more of a matte look. Not going to use it for this image, just not applicable. Mood, we can choose a lot to kind of give us a look. I'm not sure if that's the direction I want to go. But you know what? Let's at least take a look at it to see if there's something that might stand out. So Anaheim looks pretty darn good right away, actually. It just really, it put that green tone into the shadows, which I absolutely love. And I would probably wind up doing that using the split toning effect anyways. So actually, we'll hold off on the LUT for now. Excuse me. So what we'll do is we will go down to the toning, and for the shadows, we'll bring up the saturation a bit, and I'm going to push it towards green. 105. And we're going to kind of try and get the same amount of look. We definitely don't need it to be that strong though. So 25 is probably good. And then maybe bump up the saturation a bit. And then to counter that, we'll put the highlights somewhere in the blue magenta range, just for color balance sake. And we're getting there a little bit, but we want to put the balance more towards the shadow side of things. Minus 40. And it's definitely messing with our skin tones quite a bit. So I may bring down that saturation, actually. I don't want to give a complete false look. So that's not bad for the split toning. Matte, I don't want a matte look. If you want that like filmic look, then obviously you could bump that up and you're gonna get that low contrast, crushed shadows and highlights look, but not going for that today. So we'll leave that alone. Neon and Glow, honestly, I think that's the dumbest tool that is in this application. I don't think I'll ever use it. If you found a use for it, let me know. I really just, doesn't do anything for me. So Mystical, this is where we can get some interesting effects, kind of like negative clarity, but it's actually helping tone things down a bit, which I like. So we'll put that at like 28. And then Glow, I also like to do a bit of Glow, not soft focus. Actually, let's show you rather than talking about it. So soft focus is like crazy harsh. I don't know what is up with the tool. You might like the look of it, that's fine. If you do, then by all means use it. I personally find it extremely strong. In this instance, it doesn't look terrible, but in other images where I've attempted to play around with it, it just did not look good. So I'm gonna go with the glow effect, and that's more of what I want. And 27 before, after, that's definitely what I'm going for. And we'll do a bit of warmth in that glow as well. So we're looking pretty good. So before, after, and I haven't really got into any crazy colors or anything yet. So I'm really just moving through getting like the base of our image, and then we can start kind of color grading with it a bit. Blur, I'm not going to use, just no need. Film grain, I don't think I want film grain for this image. It just wouldn't suit it and suit the edit I'm going for. But you can get some decent film grain using Luminar Neo. And I think I briefly touched on that in my other video, in the 5-minute edit one I did for a film look. You can check that out as well, somewhere up there. All right, so portrait-wise, again, we're not gonna really go crazy here. If we want to do anything, I could probably do a bit of face light, but I don't know how it's gonna look. We'll see. Okay, so before, after, that's not bad actually. So it looks believable. I don't want it to look fake. So that's good. And obviously this subject, this artist is our, main focal point. So that works for me. Don't need to worry about any eye enhancement or mouth or teeth or anything like that, because it's not that kind of image. Skin, again, I'm not worried about it because this isn't like a portrait. So high key to really sell that look. It's really bumping up those lights, eh? Holy moly. Before, after, I don't hate it actually. It's not something I've used often. So we're gonna use a little bit of that actually. Yeah, all right, super contrast. So I like to bring out a bit of mid-tone contrast, and that just usually makes your subject or the whole image pop a bit more. I don't really mess around with highlights or shadows contrast in here. I just like a bit of that mid-tone contrast. Color harmony. This can get really intense really fast. So if we bring out like the brilliance of the colors, not bad, okay. 5 is probably good. It's really making those reds in the background do most of the heavy lifting. Split color warmth. So we'll do a little bit of this, and then you can see if I put a bit of cool, those lights in the background there are turning a bit blue. So I think that actually helped bring back the skin tone for the split toning I did. So that's cool. Before, after, it's like subtle, but it's nice. Color balance. We can probably mess around here a bit. Again, very minor adjustments. The green in the shadows, I'm not really going to mess around with too much more. That looks pretty darn good for what I want. Midtones. Kind of help with the skin tones a bit towards the magenta. Yeah, we're looking really good there. Okay, I'm not gonna do any dodging or burning or cloning. So we've got a nice before, after. If you like a true to life, I would say natural edit versus like a more creative look, then I'd say we're pretty much at that point now to just send it. This is how it looked basically in real life with a bit of pop. So before, after, I would be totally happy sharing that, but I'm going to do a couple things first. So we're going to go back up to our develop tab, and we're going to go into the masking. So if I'm doing edits on a raw image in Lightroom, a lot of the magic happens in the masking. So what I'll do is a radial gradient, because this is my favorite tool to use. And I want to make this a bit skinnier. And this is our center of attention here. And then I want to invert it. And as you can see, all the areas that are going to be affected are outside. And I just want to basically reduce the exposure, not too much. But like I said, rather than doing the vignette, I always like to do it this way. So an inverted radial, and this just helps like draw your attention to the subject. I use it for almost every photo, no matter if it's a photo of a person or a thing or whatever. Whatever the focal point of the image is, I will always do a subtle, radial, inverted, lower the exposure, just to help draw your eye to whatever it is you're trying to make the, the main point of your image. So if we look at before, after, it's just helping a bit. So now I am noticing it's looking a bit dark. We can also do another mask on our subject. So we can move on and do a AI mask. Let it do its thinking and all that AI magic that hopefully isn't raising the prices of SD cards. All right, so it detected a human. Look at that, boom. Wonderful. So with that mask, I can now raise the shadows a bit on our subject just to make sure he's not getting lost there. And then if you're raising shadows or exposure, it's always good to counter that with raising some contrast and bringing some contrast back in so it doesn't look too flat. And then also a little bit of negative blacks to counter lifting those shadows so it doesn't look super unnatural. So before, after, and yeah, we're looking really good. The only thing I don't like, yeah, so what we'll do is we'll kind of get into some of the actual colors here. So if we do remove color cast, no, I don't need to mess around with that. Let's actually look at our editing our actual colors. So for the reds, we can give those a little extra push there. Skin tones, like I said, skin tones are really good, and I don't think I want to do anything too creative with that. Luminance wise, like the yellow on the jacket, so that's also affecting the skin a bit. So we can raise that just a touch, and again in the oranges, the luminosity for the skin tones. This is like just an added pop for our subject there. For after, again, subtle but important edit. And I'm gonna go back because I kind of liked, again, what we were doing with that that LUT. I might just tone it down a notch. So the cinematic toning in Anaheim is a nice look. I'm just gonna bring it down to like maybe 10% for after. Okay, that's pretty subtle. Let's bump it up a bit. 20%. There. I feel like we have a really good image, and I'm pretty stoked on that actually. Before, after. The only thing I want to fix is cropping. Probably a weird way of doing it, but yeah, that works. Cool. We just got rid of that stuff at the bottom there, and I think we are good. Oh, sorry. One other thing that I mentioned I would do earlier, and I don't even really need to do it, but because we lowered the structure and took away some of that like clinical digital sharpness, I want to go back and bring that back just to our subject. So I'm going to use the AI mask again, and it's going to be subtle, but just to really sell it. And you won't notice it a lot, but do like a 5 or 8 boost just for all those fine details. So there we go. And yeah, I think we are good. That looks really good. So this is what we started with. This is what we got. And like I'd be more than happy to post that and share it to my feed or send it to the promoter or whatever. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. If you feel like I missed anything or you want further clarification on anything at all, just drop a comment below. I love, answering questions or, anything at all. Just drop me a comment and I will absolutely respond and get back to you. And again, I feel like I did rush through it a little bit still because I wasn't entirely prepared, but I hope it was helpful. And again, if there's anything that needs more explaining, I'm happy to do my best to explain it. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.